You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact. Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode. Today, we have a very interesting guest, Catharine Arnston. Catharine's an algae nutrition expert and wellness thought leader, and she's founded a company called ENERGYbits that promotes algae's health benefits after her sister's cancer diagnosis. By the way, her sister is doing fine now. She has an MBA and is board certified in health coaching, and she researches, lectures, and speaks widely on algae's nutritional value, aiming to increase global awareness. Welcome, Catharine.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You have such a fascinating story. There's the story of the whole algae and what it does, which is fascinating. And I know you were telling me that you've done like 14 years of studies. And there's also the story of how you built your business. So why don't you tell me what first got you aware about the benefits of algae?
I know. Well, I tell people I didn't pick algae, it picked me. I'm actually Canadian by birth. I've lived in Boston, Massachusetts for the last 35 years. But I mentioned Canada because 15 years ago, my younger sister, who I'm very close to in Canada, developed breast cancer. Fortunately, her oncologist happened to be a woman, and women tend to be a little more open to nutritional things. And her oncologist advised her she needed to change her diet to an alkaline diet as she was preparing for her chemotherapy. They didn't tell her exactly what it did or why it was good for her. So my baby sister called me. Not that I knew anything about nutrition. I was doing international business, but I'm a good researcher. And I found out, of course, I wanted to help her. So I found out an alkaline diet was mostly a plant-based diet for two reasons. The phytonutrients and chlorophyll in plants have been proven to build your immune system. And as she was preparing for chemo, she wanted her to have the strongest immune system. And the other interesting thing is that back in the 40s, a German scientist by the name of Otto Warburg won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer cannot exist in your cells if the cells are slightly alkaline. So that got me, focused on plant-based nutrition. I gave her lots of tips. As I researched for her, I discovered algae, which is the most alkaline, nutrient-dense food in the world, a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop in Asia. Yes, algae is a food. It is not a supplement. It's been documented in 100,000 scientific studies about how algae has nutrients that stop heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, reduce inflammation. And the problem with algae is that virtually nobody outside of Asia really knew about it. I mean, it's been sold here for 60 years, but it hasn't taken off. So I decided that I would start applying myself and my marketing skills to educate people about algae, and to find a good, clean source, because most of it up until then has come from China. We grow ours in Taiwan, and then take the weirdness out of algae, because a lot of people think it's pond scum, and it's a nutritional rock star. These are the packaging that I designed. They're really beautiful. But the best thing about algae, which you and I were talking about earlier, at least with our algae, it comes in these little tablets. They're about the size of a baby aspirin. And so some people are taking spirulina powder or chlorella powder, but you can't avoid the flavor when you take a powder or even a greens powder. These little tablets, you can swallow them or chew them. And each one of them is so concentrated with nutrition that it equals the entire plate of vegetables. So while I'm talking to you right now, I just had a plate of vegetables. Algae also has the highest concentration of protein in the world, 3 times the amount of protein as steak, has the highest chlorophyll in the world, 1,000 times more chlorophyll than greens, 40 vitamins and minerals. So those of you who don't like vegetables, your kids, your husbands don't like vegetables, or you don't live near a grocery store, or they give you gas, you are in luck. You never have to eat another vegetable again when you take spirulina and chlorella algae tablets every day. And so for other entrepreneurs like myself who are very busy, don't have time to eat, don't have time to prepare proper meals, but want energy and focus. And we'll talk about the two algae, spirulina and chlorella, because they do completely different things in your body. These are the answer for you. They give you energy. Spirulina gives you energy and focus instantly. Chlorella builds your immune system and pulls out toxins so you won't be sick. And if there are no sick days when you're an entrepreneur. So the two of them really work beautifully together. I couldn't live without them.
Great. So what is the difference between, I'm fascinated, what is the difference between chlorella and spirulina in what they do for the body?
Sure. Well, spirulina is a blue-green algae, which is why I designed the packaging to be in blue, because it has two pigments in it. One most people are aware of, called chlorophyll, but the other one is called phycocyanin, and it's proven to kill cancer cells. And that's pretty important. But the main thing that spirulina does is it gives you energy, which is why we called ours ENERGYbits. The kind of energy you get is not like from a stimulant. Stimulants are caffeine, chemicals, or sugar. You get a burst. It's like putting paper on a fire. You get a burst of energy and then you get a crash. Spirulina is like putting a log on the fire. It's very steady and it's at the cellular level. It's the cellular energy is called ATP. And cellular energy isn't for just running to the store. It's for your neurotransmitters, for your breathing, your thinking, your digestion, your lymphatic system. It's what propels everything. And so spirulina improves that cellular energy so that you can do anything you want better, more effectively, more efficiently. And lack of cellular energy is what's contributing to people getting diseases and aging and accelerated aging. So I can go into greater detail about the nutrients that do this, but it also satisfies your hunger. People use this for losing weight. Each one of these tablets only has 1 calorie, but it's 64% protein, loaded with essential fatty acids, and has 40 vitamins and minerals. So whether you're just trying to lose weight and not eat as much, that would be with spirulina would help you do that. If you're on a GLP-1, you definitely want to take this because you're not eating a lot of protein probably, and so your muscles will waste. So this prevents that. So it's great for intermittent fasting, if you're keto, if you're vegan, really, really. But the main focus is energy and nutrition and hunger. And because also it feeds your mitochondria, and your mitochondria are most plentiful in your brain, there's 2 million per cell in your brain, it's brain food. So spirulina, brain food, okay? The other algae is chlorella, and it's a green algae. So I packaged it in a package that's green to help you understand that. And it's a wellness algae. Doesn't give you energy, doesn't satisfy your hunger. But what chlorella does is it pulls out toxins, all the heavy metals, lead, mercury, radiation, aluminum. It has the highest chlorophyll in the world. Chlorophyll is very cleansing. That's why it has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula and 25 times more chlorophyll than liquid chlorophyll. There is nothing in the world with more chlorophyll than chlorella, which is why it's called chlorella, because it's the chlorophyll. But the other amazing thing about chlorella is that in addition to that hard cell wall that pulls out toxins and the chlorophyll, it has all the nutrients that build your immune system and your gut. It has fiber, which you need to feed your gut biome. So chlorella is a wellness algae. It's a detoxing algae. And so I tell people, it's a gut health algae, whereas spirulina is a brain health algae. And if it helps you think about it and remember the difference between the two of them, I often stay at hotels and sometimes order room service for breakfast, and room service brings me everything I need for the day. I'm fully nourished. And I thought, gosh, that's an awful lot like spirulina. Gives you everything you need for the day. You're fully nourished, and gets you out the door. Then you come back to your room and it's all clean. All the garbage is gone. And I thought, wow, that's like chlorella. It pulls out all the junk in your trunk. And usually we suggest people take this before bed because that's when your body goes through a detox repair cycle. So if it helps you remember the two of them, think of spirulina as room service that you get in the morning, and think of chlorella as housekeeping, which comes in later in the day or in the.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for explaining all those differences. And I had a question. How do you compact? I always wondered this. Whenever you get like a supplement and it's a food that's become yours is not a supplement, but it's a pill. How do you do you just compact the chlorella into the pill form to get?
Yeah.
I always wonder how they can fit so much into a small pill, because it doesn't seem like 2 tablespoons could fit into a small pill. How do you do that?
I know. Well, we try not to call them pills because they're not pills. And so we either say tablets or bits because they're bits of nutrition. They're bits of food. And to show people that algae is everywhere in the ocean and the lake, but we grow ours in farms, freshwater farms. So this is a spirulina farm. This is a chlorella farm. And then after we grow it, as I mentioned, we grow it in Taiwan. We grow it in the farm, then we air dry it without high heat to preserve all the nutrients, and then we do press them into these little tablets. It's just through pressure. There are a lot of supplements, sadly, have what's called binders to keep everything together. There are no binders, not in our spirulina or our chlorella. It's just a
Impressive.
And both of them have some essential fatty acids, mostly spirulina, but they just compact into one another. I
Mm-hmm.
think the reason why is spirulina has very high essential fatty acids, so it's got that stickiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And chlorella, which I mentioned, has the highest chlorophyll in the world. Well, you probably wouldn't know this, but chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment. So it heals your cell walls, just like an omega-3 does. So again, it has that fatty stickiness to it. So we don't use any, it's just pressure. It's like pressing them into little miniature muffin cups.
Thanks for sharing the whole process. Now, tell us about the company. You were saying before that it was like 14 years you've been doing this and you
Yes.
did it. How did you build your company? I know you didn't get loans. Tell me the story of building company.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even planning on building a company. And so anyone who's listening who has a passion for something, I mean, I had a passion for helping my sister heal. And I'm also just a really good researcher. In fact, I've learned so much and I've taught myself all the science. I call myself a citizen scientist that I'm actually writing my exams for my PhD this summer. But anyways, I didn't want to do a company. I started other companies. They're a lot of work, but I wanted to help my sister and I did. And then when I learned so much, I thought, well, I could help other people. So I went to school, a place called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which gave me a certificate in health coaching. So then I coached for a year. I gave lectures at hospitals and companies teaching their employees plant-based nutrition. So again, wasn't planning on building a company. I was just an educator. But then I realized people were having a hard time eating vegetables because they didn't like them or they were too much work or they gave them gas. So that's when I decided to find a way to get the nutrition of vegetables into them in a way that was effortless. And when I found out that algae came in little tablets that you could swallow or chew, and that it was a multi-billion-dollar industry in Asia, and all the science was backing it, that's when I decided I would start a company. So I didn't say I'm going to start a company. I just wanted to help my sister. And then I wanted to help a few more people. And then I found out that just doing one-on-one consulting wasn't moving the needle in my mind if I was going to make a difference in the world. So that's when I doubled down and realized, okay, I guess I'm starting a company. And I was by myself for the first 5 years. I was importing the algae, hand labeling it myself, selling them out of my knapsack to my friends at the health club or anywhere. And it wasn't, and because I had to research the science because I had to know why this stuff worked so well. And there's lots of science, but nobody had pulled it together in a way that made sense to me. So after 5 years of being absolutely confident that I understood the science, and I started adding team members. I applied for lots of competitions. I won quite a few things. I won an award from Entrepreneur Magazine for Entrepreneur of the Year. I came in second, mind you, not first, but it's the same award that Daniel Lubinsky won a couple of years earlier. He is, of course, if you don't know him, he's the founder of Kind Bars. I even wrote him a letter saying, "Hey, Daniel, I won the same award that you did." And they gave me $15,000, which as part of my prize, which I used to do our first individual pouch packaging. This is not the original. The original one was pretty ugly because I had to teach myself package design, among other things. I entered lots of competitions just so I could get access to knowledge and visibility and then eventually, I did have a couple of friends just throw me a couple of checks for what's called, friends and family. But that was back in 2010, and we're now 2024. So I have funded the company through sales for the last 13 years. Well, basically 14 years. I was on Shark Tank. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. I only went on that because about 200 people said I should be on Shark Tank. I didn't want their money. They didn't give it to me. I just wanted the visibility. So my advice to other entrepreneurs as you're growing is take every opportunity that you can to get visibility for your cause, but be sure that your heart is in the right place and your goal is to educate and improve. Because if that is the case, then you won't give up. I mean, it's been a grind. Any entrepreneur will tell you it's a grind. Because I was building an industry, not just a company. I'm creating the algae industry, just like Vital Proteins created the collagen powder industry, or Lululemon created the yoga wear industry. And it's not easy to create an industry. It's even harder than creating a company.
Right.
But I've been at it for so long. The other advice I would give to people is you've got to focus on your market segment. when I first started, I knew this was good for athletes. I knew it was good for moms. I knew it was good for pets. I knew it was good for just about everything. But if you go after too many markets, you aren't strong in any of them. So while
Mm.
the athletes loved our products and we had Olympic athletes, NHL players using it, loving it, I had to abandon the market. The fitness market for a while because I couldn't get the retailers to stock it because pouches were only like $5 or $6 and they wanted to
Mm.
sell stuff that was $2,000.
Mm.
So I doubled down on wellness, longevity, biohacking, and that's our niche and has been for
Hmm.
the last 8 years. And pretty much everybody knows me in that niche, knows us, knows that we have the highest quality algae. We do third-party lab tests. We don't sell through chain stores. We only sell through wellness clinics and biohacking clinics and our own website, ENERGYbits.com. So, and for also anyone listening, I couldn't have built this company to where it is now without algae because I do eat real food. I do intermittent fasting. I'm down to like eating one main meal a day. So I use the spirulina in the morning, in the afternoon, when I have a slump. I'm never sick. I'm 67. I'm almost 68. My
Mm.
skin is healthy. I sleep well. I poop well. Because when you're the founder and the CEO, I mean, everybody looks to you and there are no days off.
Right.
At least not yet for me, although I hope to one
Right.
day. But so it's kept my energy level, my mental acuity on point, and it's kept my health really, really good. So
Right.
I'm sort of the voice of algae. You want to have an example, I'm definitely it.
Okay, great. So thanks for sharing all that with us. So first of all, I can't believe that you're, what, 68, did you say?
In a couple of months, yeah.
Right. Well, you're a testimony to this. And I did want to, that was interesting. I wanted to address, though, I don't agree that a tablet or something will replace all other vegetables and all the colors and all that that does in your body. So, but you did say you ate other things because I would hate for people to think that they just need to take your tablet and then they don't eat any other vegetables. Right.
Well, there's a lot of people that just don't eat vegetables. And so,
Right. Well, they should.
but they won't because we've been trying to get them. I lectured for a
Mm.
year trying, and so you have to acknowledge when, whatever you're doing isn't working. And we've been lecturing people for 20 or 30 years to eat more vegetables and it hasn't been working. So,
Mm.
what do vegetables do? Well, and that one thing is as you mentioned, they provide a wide range of nutrients, but spirulina and chlorella have all those carotenoids and phytonutrients that you'll find in carrots, red peppers, kale, and they don't have
Mm.
any of the what's called anti-nutrients, things like oxalates and lectins, which can
Hmm.
upset your stomach. So that's one thing. The other thing vegetables do is they slow down digestion. And why that is good is because it reduces the chance that you'll have an insulin spike. But
Hmm.
chlorella and spirulina don't have any carbs. And in fact, they're perfect for diabetics because they lower your blood sugar and they keep your ketones high. So it does the same thing as vegetables there as well.
Mm.
The other thing that vegetables do is they provide you fiber to ensure that you're having regular bowel movements. Well, chlorella, not so much spirulina, but chlorella stimulates what's called peristalsis. So it does exactly the same thing. It stimulates bowel movement. So it does exactly the same thing that fiber would do. There's a lot of
Mm.
people, especially as you get older, they just don't have the enzymes that allow them to digest vegetables. And so it's a real problem for them. This is a great
Mm.
solution. Kids hate eating vegetables. Moms, this is a great solution because you're giving your children the
Mhm.
chlorophyll, all the phytonutrients, as well as the protein that they need. We know men don't like vegetables. So rather than lecture them, just have them take, and one won't do it. We generally, for adults, we recommend 10 spirulina in the morning. Sorry, spirulina is the darker one, it's the blue green. 10 spirulina
Mhm.
in the morning and 10
Mhm.
chlorella at night. If you have a
Mhm.
health condition, you want to take 30 of each until you get a clear
Wow.
diagnosis. But I mean, you
Mhm.
could have 5 if you wanted, or
Sure.
take as little or as many as you want, but you'll get better effectiveness with
Mm.
10 of each. But
Mm.
rather than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying you don't like vegetables and I'm just not going to eat them, take this. This is,
Right.
it's a great solution.
I love vegetables personally.
I do too. I absolutely love, kale's and arugula. I love
Yeah, I
arugula.
love salads and everything. But you're right, some people don't, and sometimes when we're busy, it does take more preparation to cook vegetables or make salads are easy though. Okay. So, what would you say, what would you want to tell people about business? Like what's a thought that you want to leave people with regarding running a business, a mindset?
Well, this passion piece is probably the most important because whatever you're building, it's going to take 10 times longer, be 10 times harder. You have to dial down the noise from your family, from your friends who tell you you're crazy. There's a reason why I'm finally successful is because I wasn't doing this for the money. I was doing this because a little voice in my head or somewhere in my heart probably said, you have the ability to change the world. And we know that you can do this. So go out and do it. It made no sense to me whatsoever. I had no nutritional background. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but because it made it longer and harder. But my message would be, if there's something that's you just can't seem to forget about and you absolutely need to apply yourself, give it a try. Start small. Give yourself a long bandwidth to, and just realize that there's going to be reiteration after reiteration. It's no different than an Olympic athlete. You don't become Simone Biles overnight. You practice that somersault probably 5,000 times to get it so perfect that in 5 seconds you win the gold. Same with entrepreneurship. I've redone my packaging 20 times. I've redone my website 20 times. I've redone my branding 50 times. I've had like 100 interns go through here. It's just a reiterative process. And you have to suck it up every single time and realize, okay, it's not good enough yet. I'll try one more time. And you just do as much as you can with whatever you've got. And eventually, hopefully it catches on, but sometimes you're way ahead of yourself like I was. Like I say, algae is a multi-billion-dollar industry in Asia. It's as big as the beef industry is, but it hasn't caught on here because the packaging was wrong. The quality was poor. Nobody educated the customer. And that's so I took all the things I felt were missing and addressed them. But it has not been easy and it was not fast.
Okay. Well, I love that you just voiced that you're a woman after my own heart. I have been very vocal about what you were saying about things don't happen once. And I talk a lot about athletes and also musicians doing the same piece over and over and over and over again. Thank you for sharing that because people need to hear that. There's no overnight success. And you are reiterating nonstop, improving, and not perfecting, improving.
It's not perfection. It's improvement. You're right.
And it's not for the weak-hearted. It's not, hey, I have an idea. I'm going to throw a website up. Oh, nobody bought it. I'm done. You stuck with it. And I love that you said that you changed your website 20 or 30 times or whatever, and hundreds of interns. And that's business. And I think that people have to understand it's not going to be neat. Business is never, never neat. And I've never met a hugely successful person in business who said, oh, it was just so neat. And it was not, scary and, cobbling it together.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Catharine, this has been wonderful to have you on the show. If anybody wants to find the products, we will have a link. Thank you for listening, everybody. Please subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one.
You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact.